All right, welcome back. We continue with the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown, talking about the Steelers as they get underway. Tampa Bay, Friday night, 7 o'clock. Our on-air time here at KDKA-TV for that first preseason game. Tim Benz, I want to ask you about JuJu SmithSchuster. We saw Michael Thomas this week get $100 million. He has very similar numbers through 2 seasons than Thomas did. If he has a big year this year, what do the Steelers do with him, and how much is it going to cost them?
A lot, and they have to keep him, I think. And this goes back to my earlier point right before the break about all 3 of those guys coming up before or at the end of the 2020 season. They'd like to do it before the 2020 season, and I don't think there's a team that's in need of seeing the CBA worked out in advance of that year quickly, more so than the Steelers. It probably won't happen. I doubt that it's going to happen, but you know, there are questions afoot like, will they keep the 5th-year option for rookies? That comes into play with TJ Watt. Are there going to be special dispensations for running backs? That comes into play with James Conner. And like you just talked about there, Bob, with the price of wide receivers, and basically with wide receivers, it's not necessarily who's better, it's just who's next. AB, Michael Thomas, Julio, maybe it'll be JuJu after that. It's going to cost them an arm and a leg to keep this guy.
Yeah, I'm not sure yet, and I don't want to rain on anybody's parade here, but
well, if he's good.
I was surprised that JuJu was ranked so high on that top 100 list. He's already ahead of names like A.J. Green and Mike Evans, wide receivers who have been bona fide #1s, elite wide receivers, and have had to put up with Jameis Winston and Andy Dalton as their quarterbacks. I want to believe that JuJu can do it. His numbers are impressive, but it was always as Robin and not Batman. So I'm pumping the brakes on the big contract yet. I don't think you're going to pay him. If Sammy Watkins is worth $16 million in free agency, then JuJu might be a $20 million wide receiver, and I'm not ready to go there yet, even though with Antonio Brown out of town, it seems like JuJu has the leverage on the Steelers.
Well, he definitely has the leverage. I mean, what else are you going to do right now? They don't have anybody behind him, ready to take that reins right now. And what I saw from JuJu during training camp so far is I think he realizes that the paycheck is right around the corner. There's a little bit more maturity. There's a little bit more of, being a leader on the field by example, and he has taken it to a different level. And if he's able to even equal the numbers he had last year, which were pretty significant.
Yeah, they were.
I think you have to pay him. I guess the big question, like Benzie would say, is if you can only sign 2 of those 3 next year, which 2 would they have to be?
It's Watt and JuJu without a question,
Yeah,
because at least I think you've got a foundation there in Snell, and you can get a running back. But, Andrew, as you were saying in the first segment, the first question about the Roethlisberger topic to begin the show, if he doesn't become Batman from being Robin, there's no way Ben has a better season than he did a season ago.
I don't know about that.
Because he has more targets to spread around, too.
But I guess it depends on Moncrief and Vance McDonald.
Right.
Every day, and I love Mark, but that's been one of the big things from training camp is the Moncrief hype has been unbelievable. So many people see this guy.
He's John Stallworth now. Yeah.
But I heard the same thing about Justin Hunter for 2 years in training camp and mini camps.
Andrew, I don't know where that's coming from because he really hasn't practiced that much up at training camp, at least during 11-on-11 type of drills, maybe individual.
Well, Ben has spoken highly of him, right? I think that's part of it, too.
Well,
the quotes from Ben.
Well, he's really never had a good quarterback to throw him the ball either.
He knows that he needs Moncrief to take that step and be that guy. But, for JuJu to do what he did last year, don't underestimate what the role Randy Fichtner has to play in this. He has to find him ways to be one-on-one and get some favorable matchups, and I think Randy's smart enough to do that.
Tim, let me ask you this now. We're looking at kicking. We really haven't had to do that because never before has there been a competitor, a camp challenger for Chris Boswell. At this point still, it's got to be his job. What does it take for him to lose his job?
He has to be outperformed by the other kicker, which means they have to give the other kicker some chances. Aside from that, why are we doing this dance with Boswell where, like Tomlin said in the opener, we're going to put him in some pressure situations, and that could be simply as easy as snapping the ball. Well, that better be the case in the preseason, and you can't apply pressure to your kicker to figure out if he can still do the job without having the other guy give a chance, and I would prefer to see that.
I almost find no way possible that Boswell loses his job. And
short of how about if he hits 3 goalposts and flushes one
it would take
wide
more.
right?
It would take more than that.
Really?
I think it would have to take an absolutely debacle in the preseason for him to be able to be cut. Not because of Matthew Wright and his skills, just for the fact that there's nobody out. I mean, Boswell has the experience, although he struggled last year. I think that they're really enamored with that type of guy. So
fair enough, Mark, but when the Steelers have found good kickers, they've basically pulled them out of thin air. Boswell was one, and Jeff Reed was another one who was not,
for that matter, was
not an established kicker.
yeah, but
Look,
those are also guys that had some strong legs on kickoffs too. Unless you can get a punter to kick off.
Fair enough.
Matthew Wright's not really there.
and I didn't know that about Wright until you just mentioned that. Look, I think one of the most underrated or subplots to what's going on in the AFC North is that the two best teams don't have kickers. The Browns' kickers are terrible. I mean, I'm getting reports in open practice, guys are missing 35-yard field goals. They don't have a kicker. If it comes down to last year where kickers are the difference between 2 or 3 wins, then maybe I give Baltimore more of a chance because you know that guy's going to make all of his kicks. They've got the biggest advantage on special teams. If it really is a 3-phase game, then don't rule out Baltimore because their special teams are head and shoulders better than everybody else in the division.
It was so surprising when he missed against the Chargers in the playoffs. But yeah, it's interesting, Andrew. And Mark, this is our favorite topic, the hashtag just a few plays away for the Steelers.
Just a couple, Benzie.
Yeah, and keep in mind that the Browns also lost 3 games by 1-score margins as well. And if they've got kicking issues, to Andrew's point, they could struggle the same way the Steelers did.
Hey, the Bengals kicker is the former Steelers kicker, Randy Bullocks.
Yeah. We'll find out. It's going to be interesting, the kicking game. And a little bit later, we're going to talk about some of the pass interference challenges, replay. It's going to be on display for the first time. We already saw one of those calls in the Hall of Fame game. But first, it's time to go round the horn for this week's Smooth Moves, brought to you by Pittsburgh's largest supplier of the smoothest granite, marble, and quartz countertops you will find anywhere. That would be Armina Stone. So, Andrew, you're first. Smooth Move of the week.
Smooth Move is the Jumbotron operator at Progressive Field for putting Baker Mayfield on there, and then the 3.3 seconds heard around the world to get that Miller Lite down the hatch. As far as I'm concerned, this is a small thing that can be a big thing. That does not look like the guy that's going to have the composure or temperament to deal with Odell Beckham Jr. this year. Freddie Kitchens a month ago was stocking shelves at Aldi's, and now he's the head coach of that team. So I say stock down on the Browns. Baker Mayfield, immature, clownish behavior, Bob. I see a 7-9 football team.
Good to see Colin Cowherd on the panel tonight.
Mark, what's your smooth move?
Well, I'm going to say John Gruden because I think he's biting his tongue a lot when it comes to Antonio Brown right now and saying he doesn't know what's going on with Antonio Brown's feet. Look on Instagram. You'll see what's going on with his feet. My question is, a superb athlete who works out year-round, how did this happen to your feet?
Rex Ryan would cut him,
Something's
Mark.
a little fishy here.
Rex would cut him.
I'm going to go with, actually, this is a gift from Andrew Fillipponi. I can't believe you didn't go with your Mets and J.D. Davis, who hit a ball that has not yet landed. I believe it cleared or came close to clearing the rotunda in left field. That's Jose Bautista, Sammy Sosa kind of territory.
Yeah.
I didn't know a ball could get up there. So J.D. Davis, smooth move for 449, and it looked like 549 when it left the bat.
All right, those are the smooth moves of the week, brought to you by Armina Stone. They feature Pittsburgh's largest indoor stone gallery of granite and marble countertops imported from all over the world to give you the smoothest countertops in the area. Score a touchdown right now with granite countertops from Armina Stone. We're talking Pirates next.